Welcome along then to another big match build-up show, and this episode once again is sponsored by OneFootball. Do make sure you check out the excellent free OneFootball app to be notified and kept up to date with the latest news, scores and stats all in one place. To download the OneFootball app, click the link in the description below the show. So, a victory on Saturday was snatched away in the last minute at Turf Moor, but nonetheless, Saints still remain unbeaten in the league in 2019, and so much so there is recognition finally from the Premier League as Ralph Hasenhuttl has been nominated for the January Manager of the Month, and likewise James Ward-Prowse nominated for the Player of the Month. But more on that later. This weekend though, Cardiff City head to St Mary's, buoyed by the spirit of Emiliano Sala, who of course our thoughts are extended to the families and the pilot involved in the tragic plane accident only a few weeks ago. But Saints will look to create a gap from the bottom three between Cardiff, who occupy 18th. So, is this a six-pointer? I asked the chaps from the brilliant Saints archive ahead of their big quiz this Friday night, and I get the thoughts from our opposition, hoping Cardiff can cut the gap.
Well, all these games against the teams around us are six-pointers, and Cardiff have picked up lately. They've got a lot of spirit in the team, but so have we. And Cardiff were good going forward, and I watched Cardiff at Arsenal, and they are a threat.
Obviously, the boys for Cardiff are going to want to be putting in the extra shift, just to, do it for him, do it for his family. But we've got a job to do as well.
The point against Huddersfield was particularly disappointing. We were lucky not to lose that game, which is slightly more worrying. But away from home, we really do need to capitalise on bringing some points home. So 6-pointer for sure, and we want to stay at the races.
So as usual then, the episode is available to download in the card above my head if you're watching on YouTube, or available on most audio platforms below the show. And do stay tuned later on to find out about the Saints Archive quiz night this Friday. But in the meantime, do let us know your predictions for the weekend in the comments. So time now to kick off the show. Is this a must-win or a six-pointer? So welcome along then to our first half of our Cardiff big match build-up. So slightly different this time. We have a panel of people, exciting people joining us on this preview. Clive, as always, here on my right, if you're listening along, and delighted to introduce once again Will and Leon from the Saints Archive. Really good to see you, boys. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. And you?
Not too bad after technical difficulties, but we are here now.
Yeah, good to see you as well, Freddie, and you, Clive.
That's you, Leon. Right, so first of all, we'll talk about the previous results first, Crystal Palace and Burnley. And we'll also get to the special event happening this Friday down here at the Bitterne Social Club. Slightly more central for...
Bitterne Park.
Yeah, Bitterne Park.
Bitterne Park Social Club.
Right, I can't get that wrong. Otherwise we'll have heritage people on our case. But it is slightly more central, and we've got an exciting event happening down here on Friday. So... Clive, we spoke about Burnley at the weekend, but I suppose we'll give Will and Leon a chance to speak about the result at the weekend. It was a point, another freezing cold result at Turf Moor, and a 1-1 result. How did you see it, first of all, Will?
I was kind of glad that I stayed at home and watched it on one of those illegal streams, to be fair. Having frozen myself to death at quite a few of the home games recently, it was nice just to chill out and have a weekend of myself. However, it's been nice to get the win, but I think, looking back, we may have been quite lucky to walk off with a point. In fact, probably more deserving of the point. I think with Burnley getting a penalty turned down earlier on in the game, could have gone south quite quickly for us. So point to point, I'll take that.
Yeah, well, a couple of talking points, Leon. Though, how much of the highlights have you seen? But Ashley Barnes trying his best to earn himself a penalty. The referee judged it to be a dive, a simulation. He was absolutely livid, screaming, hollering, abusing the referees.
It was a penalty, 100%, Freddie. Even on Match of the Day last night, Sean Dyche was on there, and he said the two in the studio, if they don't say this is a penalty, I'll never believe it. So it was a stonewall penalty, Freddie. Stonewall. I think Alex McCarthy knew that at the time as well.
Yeah, he messed himself up well and truly. His legs sort of took out Ashley Barnes, really, and I suppose
Barnes knew what he was doing.
We got away with it.
He knew what he was doing. He was crafty, but it was a pen. You can't, he did what an experienced professional will do. He could sense the goalie coming. It was, even if he'd got it past, it was going to be a really tough narrow angle for him to get it in. So, and he must have thought he's got the pen.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw Zaha got double yellow.
Yeah, he
on
did.
Wednesday night for sarcastically applauding the referees.
He did. He did what we probably all would have done if that had happened to us. So, if you look at the penalties, it was 1-1, one harsh, one we got away with. The score was 1-1.
I suppose we'll get to the second in just a moment as well. But in between that, once again, Nathan Redmond excelling. I think it's 6 goals in the last 10 appearances under Ralph Hasenhuttl, and none before that under Mark Hughes.
For starters, Ralph's obviously tuned into how Redmond ticks, and he seems to be a really good people person. He seems to judge character quite well. And I think with Nathan, there's a bit of obviously backstory that he's had a few dark times of recent, and that may have played on his mind when he's playing on the pitch, his confidence levels. I just think Ralph's a good guy, tuned into that, and Redmond's enjoying his football. You can totally see that on the pitch. It's joy for a fan to watch as well, particularly some of them surgeon runs he makes, and weaving in and out of opposing defences. I think he can only get better. Problem is like with everything, as soon as they get really good, you probably have to say goodbye.
Yeah, and also I think Palace did a really good job on him. The other night, defensively, they identified him as a major threat, and other teams will do that in the future. But I'm so pleased for him because he's taken so much stick from the crowd, and he's come through it now. And I think the turning point was before Ralph had got here, the Man United game. He did something up the northern end towards the Kingsland, and he just really did a lot of working back there, and the crowd responded. And from that moment, he seems to have clicked, And then obviously Ralph's come in, and thankfully he's playing with a lot of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like we're praising 2 players in particular every single week: Nathan Redmond and James Ward-Prowse. Once again, brilliant at the weekend and nominated for the Player of the Month for the Premier League. He probably won't get it because he's a top 6 bias, but Ward-Prowse again, excellent, excelling under Ralph.
James Ward-Prowse should have been doing this 2 years ago. I think everybody would agree that. I so much wanted to like James Ward-Prowse, and I tried to like him, and now I love him.
I'm a big fan of Ward-Prowse, but I also want to highlight just a cheeky little nutmeg on the build up to Redmond's goal at the weekend. Just casually, just knocking it through Jack Hawkes' legs and just drives at bottom corner with 1-0.
Yeah, well, if you hadn't brought that up, I think many would have missed that because of Redmond's goal. I mean, and I think Ward-Prowse is a fantastic player. Obviously, Ralph's getting tons out of him. Hopefully, I see probably out of Redmond and him, the more likely of the 2 players to stay with the club a bit longer. Because obviously, like with everything, they get better, they get recognised. Bigger clubs sort of spot them. But no, it's good. I mean, and one player I'd like to point out as well that we've not mentioned, he's had a pretty good month. I think is Jan Bednarek. I think he's been absolutely solid at the back. I believe he made the European top 11 players of the week. I think this week. So. That's an outstanding achievement for the young lad, and it's been actually a joy to see him play at the back there. It's just been really good.
Yeah, well, I suppose he's also credited with the assist for Nathan Redmond.
It was a decent pass. I know Redmond's still got a lot to do, but it was a decent pass, and we do that a lot. I think the big difference from Ralph's team to Mark Hughes' team is we get out of defence a lot quicker. We get the ball forward quicker to the forwards, and then you can do things because the space is opened up.
Yeah, we have been expressing ourselves as well, but I suppose ultimately at the weekend, Burnley denied, I suppose, a deserved victory. I suppose, like Clive said, it kind of evened itself out in terms of the penalty appeals, and Peter Crouch comes on, changes the game, starts throwing elbows, pulling shirts, and heads the ball down onto Jack Stevens' arm. Was it a foul or was it a handball?
I'll let you go with that, Leon.
Okay. Personally, I think it was foul on Jack Stevens. He had a nudge in the back. He didn't put his arm up on purpose, I don't think. Just a reaction, I think. So I'll go for foul. I think it was a foul.
What do you think, Will?
Total foul. Look, I can see what some of the commentary was from yesterday, from final score, and one side of the interview they were saying, no, it's definitely, Stephen's committing, handballing. But his handballing after a foul had already been done.
Yeah.
So you've got to go with the one that happened first. Crouchy, he was either going to score against us or be involved in something. That
Or come off his arse and go
it
in.
was going to get in something and get a goal. He's blatantly fouling him. It shouldn't have happened, but hey, say la vie, and it's always good after the game, isn't it?
As it's happened, you can't tell. The referee's seen it, he's got no VAR, the linesman's 50 metres away from it. Obviously, the picture that you see with the tug of the shirt, that gives you a clue. But you can't see that, so the ref can only give what he sees. And thankfully, first half, he saw no penalty. Second half, he did. It went horses for courses, mate, sadly.
I suppose.
I think the big disappointing thing is it was in literally the last minute.
Yeah.
That's what's so disappointing.
And we'd done so well.
If it happened in the last 20 minutes, I don't think we'd have been so disappointed, would we?
Yeah. We'd done so well defensively. I mean, forget the disappointment. There was so many good blocks in there and sensible defending and calm with the ball coming out. We weren't just wellying it away. So there's a lot of positives with Saints. Let's face it, we're playing a lot of youngsters. For all the disappointment of not buying anyone, and I'm disappointed as much as anyone else, these youngsters have come through, especially, I must give a lot of credit to Mr. Slattery. He's done really, really well coming in. He's slotted in and we've hardly noticed, have we?
Yeah, well, he made his first Premier League start at the weekend.
Valerie, and if you think Matty Target is a youth product, James Ward-Prowse is a youth product, it's what we want to see, it's what fans want to see, but we didn't spend any money.
Well, not only that, there was 8 academy graduates on the matchday squad at the weekend. Alfie Jones also making the bench, so perhaps another sign of things to come as well. But it also gives credit, true recognition to Ralph Hasenhuttl over January, nominated for the Manager of the Month, unbeaten in the league in 2019. Positivity.
I hope he don't get it, because every time you get it, you lose the next game. So.
I've voted for him several times already online, using various proxies and stuff. I want to see the lad get it. I don't see him getting it. It's usually a top 6 bias. I think Ole Solskjaer, unfortunately, is going to get it. Nothing taken from him. He's had a quality start for United, but, we're here for Ralph. We want him to win it. So
I think the one person we haven't spoke about yet is Danny Ings.
Yes.
Have we got a problem?
Well, obviously there was a clamour for January signings. Obviously we didn't sign a striker. Charlie Austin was rumoured to leave. Eventually stayed. Came on at the weekend. Danny Ings, typically injured, goes off. Who knows the extent of it at this moment in time? But hopefully he is back and he scored most of our goals. So perhaps it is a big loss to our forward line.
We'll have to wait and see what the news is on the injury. But also, I'd just like the club to clarify about Michael Obafemi, how long's that going to take? How long's Bertie going to take to get back? Because it's so important to have these guys back in and around the squad and have different options.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are here for a reason down at Bitterne Park Social Club.
Freddie.
This Friday evening, the Saints Archive are throwing a quiz night, all in aid of the Countess Mountbatten Hospice. Will you tell us more about the charity? Why them?
Well, our PA guy, member of the archive, Aaron, is a big supporter of Countess Mountbatten. He, unfortunately, last year lost 2 members of his family to cancer, and the hospice provided some brilliant care for them near the end there. And usually try to keep to like the Saints Foundation, don't we, as a charitable sort of event. However, because he did such sterling work for us at the big meet-up back in September, back at the Handball Club, we let him, pick this sort of event, pick this evening. He does do a lot of quizzes in other pubs, so he's got the experience there to do it. He's got the personality to do it as well. Obviously, the club itself have kindly waived their fee for the event, and Aaron's waived his fee as well. So he's obviously losing out on the night time's worth of pay. Friday nights would usually be as busy a night. We've got good sized amount of teams coming on down now. Teams of 4. It's £10 a ticket per team. If you book on Eventbrite on our group, there is a small sort of fee of about £1 just to pay off Eventbrite. It'll be a good event. There is a prize. There is a trophy, engraved trophy, a very nice looking trophy. And there is a wooden spoon for the losing team, which we might put ribbons on if you're lucky, just to really colour it up. And obviously we've got Dave Puckett and his wife attending as well. They've got their own team. I believe Teresa doesngoing feel so confident about a win, but I think Dave does. So, there's a bit of competition there. You can go up against the next Saint. I'm going to talk him into it later to see if he'll present it, even if he's the winning team.
All right. Well, there's also, I suppose I'd give you a little spoiler. When we were at the official quiz night down at St Mary's in November, I think it were. Dave didn't actually come anywhere near the top 3, so...
oh, fantastic.
We'll see what happens on Friday, though. But it is an excellent cause, the Countess Mountbatten Hospice, a truly terrific cause to our colleagues. But also, Leon, the Saints' Archive have also just turned 1 year old. A terrific response, actually, when we last spoke down at the Crafty Fox in September.
It's just been unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. We're approaching nearly 4,000 now. Got many ex-Saints players and members, which is absolutely fantastic. We've even got the live president, Terry Payne, with us now. We've got Eric Martin in the States, Nick Holmes in the States. We've got John Sidman from Australia, and they just absolutely love it. And we love their support.
Yeah, it is brilliant. Even if somebody of my age that haven't lived through the the history, but it is excellent to see people throwing their memories across there, scanning and their photos.
Freddie, you've had it easy, mate.
Everything is digital, but now the Saints Archive is there for everybody to get involved. It's an excellent page, isn't it, Clive?
Yeah, football's about memories. It's about friends through lifetime, and sometimes when the team's doing so bad, the only reason you're going is because of your friends, and we all share those memories right through the years. Trips we've been to all over the country, all over Europe. It's fantastic, and the archive embraces that, and it's a really positive thing.
And there's been some positive news recently as well, some exciting news. I hear that you've had recent meetings with the managing director Toby Steele about a permanent exhibit at St Mary's.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this has possibly been the busiest week I've had with the archive, and I've agreed that I'm going to have some time off next week from it. But Toby very kindly, after we wrote a letter into him, invited us along to talk a few of our ideas. It was quite an experience in itself. I didn't fanboy too much anybody that was there, and he heard us out. He chucked in the pros and cons of, say for instance, we had an idea of putting it in Itchen South above the megastore. Obviously, there's meeting room space up there that they can't use because they've got staff they've got to put somewhere else if they put anything there. So he gave us the pros and cons, but he didn't give us promises, but he did clearly identify to us that the club are very keen on the idea. They want to do it, but like with everything, it's planning, preparation, and obviously financing it. But it wasn't a no, and it wasn't certainly and we're never going to do it. It was a yes, but we need to.
Well, it is certainly exciting because, popping into the Sea City exhibition in the summer, it was, terrific to go in there, see all the memories, see all the, the archives. So it'd be brilliant to have a permanent home as well. But it is an excellent job that you guys are doing as well, and do keep it up. But this Friday, do make sure you come down to the Bitterne Park Social Club for the quiz night of the century, let's say. But no, it's going to be a great night. So, but one thing we need to sign off, though, part of this video, it is the Cardiff City preview after all. Obviously, they won at the weekend, 2-0 against Bournemouth. Is this a 6-pointer?
Yeah, they all are. All these games against the teams around us are 6-pointers, and Cardiff have picked up lately. They've got a lot of spirit in the team, but so have we. And I looked at that. I watched that Bournemouth game last night, and Bournemouth just flattered to deceive. They played some lovely football up to the edge of the box, but Cardiff just stopped them, and Cardiff were good going forward. And I watched Cardiff at Arsenal, and they are a threat. They should have won the game at Arsenal, but they didn't have the nous in the final third. So, we've got to meet fire with fire next weekend.
Well, the first game under Ralph, it was a defeat at the Cardiff City Stadium, and actually Cardiff are riding off their home success this season. They haven't had too much luck away from home this year.
Good solid team at home, but away poor. They've also probably got a bit of extra something in the dressing room at the moment, unfortunately, with the Emiliano currently missing at the moment, and what is a terrible tragedy. Obviously, the boys for Cardiff are going to be wanting to be putting in the extra shift, just to, do it for him, do it for his family. But we've got a job to do as well. And, our thoughts, I should imagine, from all of us are with, Cardiff and everyone at this moment. But we've got a game to win. I reckon we'll win it. Mm-hmm. Last time I was quite positive about the Palace game, and I didn't predict the score right, but I predicted a win. So I'm on a roll at the moment. So I reckon definitely a win this time round for the Saints.
All right, and then we are gaining momentum as well, going into, I suppose, a couple of important fixtures at the end of February into March. Leon, sign us off for the score prediction.
2-1.
All right, Will, and you?
going to go wild, 3-0.
All right. We haven't seen a 3-0 a long time, Clive.
You know I don't predict.
Right. Thank you very much for watching this first half of this video. Leon, also just tell everybody where we can find the Saints Archive if they haven't already joined the Facebook group.
Over to you, Bill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's, well, our main hub is the saintsarchive.com website. That will direct you through to the Saints Archive group, which is located on Facebook. Obviously, if you're on Facebook, just do a Saints Archive search and you'll find us there. As always, with a membership group, you have to answer a series of 3 questions, just based on eliminating any Pompey fans who are trying to infiltrate, or anyone that's, shouldn't really be there if they don't believe in politeness, courtesy and decency. But other than that, pop along, have a chat with everyone. Former players, has been mentioned, are on there. Great opportunity to look at videos from the past, and it'd be good seeing you.
Great stuff. Really good to speak to chaps. Hopefully, we'll see everybody. Hopefully, we'll see everybody down here on Friday night. If not, we'll see you on Saturday. Cheers, chaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So really great to speak to the chaps from the Saints Archive this week, and you can join the Facebook group if you click in the link below the video, so you can share your memories, join in the conversation and speak to some others from over the years, and of course some ex-Saints over there too. And of course, if you're not up to much this Friday and living in the Southampton area, do head down to the Bitterne Park Social Club to join in with their quiz night, all raising excellent funds for the Countess Mountbatten Hospice. And before we move to our second half, a couple of things to tell you and a couple of travel tips this weekend. And if you usually head to St Mary's by train, there will be bus replacements on local services heading in and out of Southampton Central due to engineering work. So do check your journey on South Western Railway before you leave if your regular route has been affected. This will also affect travelling fans, so perhaps the buses might be a little busier than perhaps normal. And I want some of you to tell me as well, I'm interested to know how many times I've announced that this season, whether it's train strikes, engineering works, trains are replaced. Tell me in the comments, it's far too often. Anyway, enough of that. Join us for our second half as I speak to our opposition to find out the defiant spirit and the general feeling amongst Cardiff fans. So welcome along then to our second half of our Cardiff Big Match Preview Show. Join us on the line. Join us from the View From The Ninian Cardiff City podcast. Bethan, really good to meet you. How are you?
Hi there, yeah, good to join you. Thanks for asking me to come along, on the podcast this evening.
I suppose I should say, also seen on BT Sport on the Premier League Tonight clips.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes good, sometimes, bad, but yeah, good.
Comes with the territory being down there in the Premier League, but I suppose Cardiff, they sit in the bottom 3 still, but still within touch and distance of the pack at the moment, and a terrific result of the weekend in the face of adversity. Everybody praising the spirit the team came together after, of course, the sad news of Sala.
Yeah, definitely. I think the reaction from the Premier League clubs and fans has been fantastic. First and foremost, very difficult situation for all of us here at Cardiff City, but like you said, we were really, really proud of the boys, of the club, the tributes that were made. The team performance, clean sheet and 2 goals, so I think in terms of, with what's happened recently, and I should say, of course, that we're all thinking of the families of both Emiliano Sala and David Ibbotson. I should put that out there first and foremost. But yes, on the pitch, 2 goals, clean sheet, 3 points. Of course, as you said, still in the bottom 3, but what I'm most pleased with is that we are still at the races. So, I think the league moves very quickly, and there was some concern that we'd drop off, like unfortunately Huddersfield have done, but we're still there. And I think I should also say that, the 1-1 draw between yourselves and Burnley has certainly kind of kept the whole thing quite, very open,
Well, I suppose, the point that we took at Turf Moor kept you in touch and distance. Had either one of us took 3 points, and it would have been at sort of 5, 6 points, and seemingly, a really difficult challenge to overcome, But even some of the pundits recently over the weekend are backtracking on their pre-season predictions, hoping that you stay up.
Yes, that's what we like to hear, you know. So obviously we took a bit of stick at the start of the season. I think it's a reality check. Unfortunately, the Premier League, there's a lot of money involved, and I should really say, you know, credit to Wolves. They're really doing fantastic. They spent money, but they've spent it in areas that have really worked. And unfortunately, our budget wasn't there. And I think purely, you know, for those reasons, and Neil Warnock's record of survival in the Premier League. But, you know, so far so good. We're still at the races, like I said. And, yeah, you know, really pleased with the reaction. But we just need to focus now, because it's a huge game for both of us now on the weekend. And, you know, we both need the points.
Well, we were saying on our first half, if you like, this is a 6-pointer from our side of things. You know, it should obviously Saints win, that creates 5 points from yourselves in 18th, but you know, should you take 3 points from St Mary's at the weekend, suddenly you leapfrog us, and then the relegation is really wide open from, you know, for the last sort of quarter of the season.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you know, from a Cardiff point of view, we're still looking back at particularly you know, that Burnley game when the Clarets came to the Cardiff City Stadium. We had much more possession, but unfortunately the clinical nature of this division, they went away with the 3 points, and we've been looking back at that game as almost like, you know, when we get to the end of the season, is that going to be a game that we look back on? Of course, we then went to Newcastle away, another kind of team, I guess, in the mix around us, and, you know, didn't get points there. So this becomes so much more important at home. Minus Burnley, we've managed to get points against the likes of, you know, Fulham. The point against Huddersfield was particularly disappointing. We were lucky not to lose that game, which is slightly more worrying. But away from home, you know, we really do need to capitalise on bringing some points home. So 6-pointer for sure, and we want to stay at the races.
Well, this brings me perfectly to my next point I have here. You know, do you think you're over-reliant on your home form? It's 5 wins, or 5 of your 6 wins this season have been at home, and only 1 away win this season. What would you put that down to, I guess?
I guess it's, of course, the fans, but I should say as well, Cardiff City fans away from home, you know, we travel in our numbers, and I'm sure there will be a lot of us there on Saturday. But yeah, it's the home fortress. I mean, you look at the likes of, in the past in the Premier League, Stoke City, Burnley, for example, you know, they've made that home ground a fortress. That's where we know, and we knew from the start of the season, that's where we need to be picking up our points. And I think it's just a case that every home ground in the Premier League is a difficult place to go to. You know, it's top flight football, and you play in top flight teams. So sometimes I feel that we've lacked a little bit of composure. You know, we've given away some sloppy penalties. We've given away goals in the first few minutes. So, you know, at home and of course away from home as well. So it's, you know, I think our home form is going to be crucial. But like you said, in this league, you do need to be trying to pick up points away from home. And hopefully we can build on that game against Leicester.
Well, it's certainly going to be a terrific atmosphere. I imagine you're bringing down your full allocation as well. Should you get there, of course, there are train engineering works coming from the west. So if Cardiff fans, if you're listening or watching along, then you'll have to get a bus replacement from the outskirts of Southampton down into Southampton Central to get to St Mary's as well. But, you know, only Fulham this season have conceded more goals than you this year.
Yeah, and first and foremost, thank you very much for that information. I'll make sure that Cardiff fans know that. But yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, you know, the pundits at the start of the season were on about Cardiff in the ranks of the other promoted teams, and Fulham and Wolves, they spent much more money, and, you know, they're going to do better. And it's almost like we are quite enjoying the fact that Fulham really haven't made the most, you know, of that money. It shows that money can bring some things, but it's also about working together as a team, and that just doesn't seem to have happened. I'm probably going to offend quite a few Fulham fans here, but yeah, I mean, I shouldn't talk too soon because there's a long way to go. Yeah, we've conceded a lot of goals, especially at home. But then you look at the likes of how many goals, for example, Man City and United have put against other teams in the league so far this season. It makes us feel a little bit more, comfortable with that.
We know how you feel, how Man City put 6 past us back in November and made, I suppose, a better account of ourselves just after Christmas as well. But, you say you've conceded quite a few goals, but Cardiff have also struggled at set pieces this season.
Yeah, definitely. It is it's certainly an area we do need to improve on. Like I said, firstly, conceding penalties, but also particularly from the wide play in the boxes, we often lack composure. I think that's sometimes it's been a little bit sloppy. But of course, I should mention at Leicester when we had the penalty save, Neil Etheridge has certainly done well in those set pieces so far this season, and a terrific block then as well from a defender. But yeah, that I think you guys will be looking at that as a weakness of ours. So
Neil Etheridge has got a history this season in saving penalties, so there's definitely no guarantee should Saints, if they get one at the weekend as well. But obviously you've had some January rivals in Leandro Bacuna on deadline day alongside Umar Niasse as well. But I suppose, who would you say is your main threat going forward? Obviously, Patterson was on the score sheet back in December. I remember that day. Absolutely poured down, saturated from head to toe. But what would you say? I suppose it's a different approach last weekend as well, with Bobby Reid getting 2 against Bournemouth.
I mean, absolutely delighted. As fans, I really wanted to see Bobby Reid do well, and there's been, many times that we've wanted him to start, and for whatever reason the boss has decided not to. He did miss a few chances at Arsenal, but what we were delighted with, because we know his potential. Former Bristol City player, I should say as well. So as Cardiff fans, love to see someone in the Bluebird shirt doing that. So he's certainly, I think that'll give him a great boost, and we really want to see him do well. We've also got the likes of Josh Murphy, who on his day is very fast on that wing, and Camarasa and Arthur can both pick out a good pass. Of course, Arthur can sometimes go quite strong in on challenges, so we'll hope that if he starts that he's he doesn't give away a yellow card or anything too early on. But
I remember actually in a recent interview with our young right back Jan Valery, he admitted that Josh Murphy caused him all sorts of problems back in December as well. He couldn't keep up with him, but hopefully it's not the case this weekend. Bethan, give us a score prediction for Saturday. I think we are in agreement that it is a 6-pointer, and should whoever win, will give the momentum for the rest of the season.
I've said 2-1 to Cardiff City on various podcasts with the View From The Ninian, and every time I get it wrong. But today, I really, really hope that we'll get a 2-1 win. I'll go for Bobby Reid and Callum Patterson to score as well. So out of interest, I'd like to know from a Saints fan what it's a 6-pointer. I know I'm the guest here, but I'm sure Cardiff fans will want to know a Saints opinion as well.
Yeah, I think we'll have the momentum at home. The fans are right behind Ralph. We're all on the express train towards the end of the season. We're starting to build momentum. Obviously, the manager up for the manager of the month award as well. James Ward-Prowse up for player of the month too. So we've got some really good players really hitting the right amount of form at the moment as well. But really, really good to speak to you, Beth. And just to remind our viewers, listeners, if they want to catch up with you, tell them where we can find you. I'm
on Twitter. That's Bethphil with an underscore. And of course, the View From The Ninian as well. We do our podcast. So thank you. It's been great to chat with you, and I'm sure whatever happens, obviously hoping Cardiff gets 3 points, but we'll see you guys soon.
All right, game on. Thanks for speaking to us. We'll chat to you soon.
Thanks a lot. All the best. Thanks.
So once again, a big thanks then to Bethan from the View From The Ninian podcast. Do make sure you check out all their pages for all your Cardiff needs. They're doing an excellent job as well. And if you like, you can check out their pre-match show where I gave them my thoughts on their podcast ahead of this weekend. But that does wrap up this week's episode. So thank you very much for watching and listening along. I hope to see some of you on Friday night for the Saints Archive quiz. If not, check back on Saturday night for our fan reactions. So ta very much. One thing left from me is come on, you Saints.